Hi, Tom. Tell us about your hack of the week.
Well, thanks, Leslie. So this week, what we were able to do on a client network, this is actually, I think, in the banking type industry, we were able to do some password spraying against users in their domain. And we were able to get access to several low-level user accounts. And so once we had a username and password on the domain that worked, then we're able to look around their network, and we identified that they have a certificate authority and realized that that certificate authority was susceptible to relay attacks. And so once we figured that out, then what we did was we looked around and also found they had a domain controller that was vulnerable to a vulnerability called pettipotent, authenticated with one of these low-level user accounts. And so we were able to elicit an NTLM v2 handshake from the domain controller to us that then we relayed to the certificate authority, and we're able to issue ourselves a certificate based upon the domain controller authentication. And so then once we got the domain controller certificate, we're able to get the NTLM hash and basically do what's called a DC sync and synchronize the passwords from another domain controller to us. So we're able to basically download all the password hashes for all the user accounts in their domain. And that's how we got domain admin access on one of our client networks.
What a great story. Tom, do you have any takeaways that organizations can use to prevent this from happening to them?
Yeah, so there's definitely a couple things that this client needs to do in order to protect themselves from this type of attack. Number one, make it so that their certificate authority is not susceptible to relay attacks. With Certify, which is the tool that we use to explore, it's called escalation 8. So they need to be reconfigured so that they're not vulnerable to that escalation path. And then also they need a patch for pettipotent so that we can't elicit an NTLM v2 handshake from their domain controller to communicate back to us. Because once we were able to do that, we're able to kind of chain those two vulnerabilities together and then become the domain controller. So if they fix those two things, then we wouldn't have been able to use this attack against their network.
Great. Thank you, Tom.